Prost, boys.
Prost.
We are in the growing, increasingly messy garage of Chop Brew headquarters. I'm Chip Walton. I'm here with Don O and our international guest, Nico Lingg. Right? Okay.
You did it.
Nico, tell the people where you're from and why you're here randomly.
Yeah, I'm from Vienna, Austria, and my wife is from Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is why I'm here quite often. And I thought, I should probably connect with some homebrewers in the States, because I read a lot about homebrewing in the States, and I started homebrewing about 2 years ago. And this time around, I'm staying in the States for a whole month, so I thought I would have time to get in touch with some homebrewers here.
And he's going to brew with our buddy Chuck Gosnell on Sunday, and you have an affinity for the sour beers, so that is a most wise decision. The stars aligned. But tonight we're not brewing, we're just drinking some beers, some local St. Paul, Minneapolis craft beers. Don O has been blessing us with a Hef, a Roggen beer, or Rogan beer, what is it?
Roggen?
Roggen?
Roggen beer?
Roggen beer. The star of the show is going to be this beer we're getting into in a couple of minutes that Nico actually brought. But real quick, kind of tell us about your homebrewing style, the homebrew scene, and about these collaborations you do. You're kind of a gypsy homebrewer.
Gypsy collaborator?
Yeah, right.
The homebrew scene in Austria, I mean, I'm relatively new to the scene. I started 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I started brewing in the Speidel Braumeister system. I don't know if that is common here in the States. It's extremely common in the German-speaking countries. It's a recirculating single vessel system.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how I started brewing, but it was a 50 liters, so about a little over a 10-gallon system. So that was a little too much for experimenting. So I quickly transferred to just stovetop brew in a bag.
Really?
Yeah, and then I made, at first I made 5-liter batches, a little over a gallon, probably about a gallon, in bottling. Yeah, the homebrew scene, I mean, we have a Austrian-wide homebrew competition. That's when I usually meet a lot of homebrewers. We've had get-togethers in Vienna now for homebrewers, which they picked up a lot starting this year. So I've got to meet a lot of the homebrewers. There are a lot more than I thought there would be. A lot of people are just doing 5-gallon brews, which is probably the most common size here as well.
Right.
Yeah. They do it in what we call it Glühweinkocher, which is just small single vessel things made to. They're built to make jams or to make mulled wine or something like that.
Huh.
So they work really well for.
Do you do the mashing and the
boiling?
mashing
and the boiling and
okay.
Something pulls out, kind of like an insert?
People usually fit it with a bazooka tube or something,
Okay.
Or maybe they do the mash in it and transfer it to a lauter tun and then boil again. So it's usually relatively low tech. Then people decide to buy the Speidel Braumeister thing, which is quite spendy, but it's pretty easy to use. Yeah. And
what kind of beer do they typically make?
A lot of times you have people that are familiar with the German beer styles, so that's what most people want to make. And then when people start reading into homebrewing, they discover American beer styles very often, and then they start making pale ales and all that.
Oh, okay.
So it's...
you were even saying you brew a lot of New England IPAs, and that was kind of mind-blowing to hear someone fly across the ocean and then school me on a beer style that's 3 years old in America.
Well, yeah, you have a kind of heady topper right there, so it's it goes
it's
back
empty,
to,
by the way.
Yeah, well then never mind. It's New England IPAs are they came about a year ago to Austria, I feel, and now a lot of people are trying them. Right?
Homebrew and pro. What pro or craft you do have,
Yeah.
they gravitate towards it.
Right. Yeah, and then Elfried, who I brewed with, he makes New England IPAs, as well, and a lot of homebrewers do. My local homebrew store, beer store Vienna, they even had a New England IPA recipe kit a few months ago. So it's moving pretty fast now, right?
Yeah,
because
that's pretty current.
It is
to us.
It is, yeah, and because I think one of the reasons is that the homebrewing literature in German isn't very good, or I mean there isn't a lot. I wouldn't say it's not good, but everyone reads the same book in German, then realize they're out of books to read, and then they gravitate towards American homebrewing books.
Okay.
Because that's where you learn most, I think.
Well, and you're
But
interested.
everyone speaks English, right? Then it's easier to
And metric.
pick it up.
Damn metric. But something. So you've said you're specifically interested in sours, and in that region, I assume sours have a new generation feel, but they're also, you guys actually have a stronghold in at least Germanic circles of like the OG sour beers to some degree, right?
You mean Gose and Berliner Weisse
Yeah.
and stuff like that, but that went extinct.
Yeah.
So we in Austria in particular we don't have sour beers anymore
On a commercial scale.
on a
Interesting.
commercial scale. It's gone.
Wow.
We probably didn't have them for half a century.
Is that crazy? How things
is.
just like disappear and then.
Yeah.
But through homebrewing, there's an interest.
It's coming back, yeah. And I think mean there must be a lot of beers like Gose and like Berliner Weisse that were alive in Austria, but they just disappeared. Right? It's just sours were completely displaced by industrial lager beers. Yeah, just like here, I guess.
Yeah. No, I have heard that about some styles of beer that were popular in different countries. Rogan beer is another one that I read about that basically kind of disappeared until U.S. interest kind of brought it back.
Yeah.
You mentioned some commercial example that you were familiar with.
Schremser Brewery in north of Vienna in Waldviertel, they make a Roggen beer. That's the only one I can think of.
But otherwise, in the U.S., you could probably find a number of examples, I would imagine. Maybe not commercially, but
when
in
it comes
brew
to
pubs and breweries.
When it comes to even German beer styles, I can usually find more examples in the US than in Europe. When it comes to rediscovering beer styles, American craft breweries are doing a lot of good work, I think.
So sour beer interest, does it go beyond either kettle sour or lactic, kind of fostering the lactic acid? Do you also like the Belgian sour styles too?
Me personally, I love the Belgian sours. Yeah, lambic is something that interests me a lot, and that's a direction I would like to go to.
Have you tried to reproduce any of that kind of stuff?
Not yet.
2 years, for only 2 years, that's pretty impressive, I have to say,
but,
already.
I have some old ass hops right there you can take back. It's labeled old ass hops. They're in need of someone that knows what the heck they're doing with them.
No, I actually have plans to brew something with Bierkante, another small brewery in Austria, something like that.
Okay.
So we'll see.
So I'm done, but you guys still have beer. So before we taste this, tell us about how in 2 years' time, you as a kind of traveling homebrewer have done a couple of fun collaborations. With
So this is based on the 4th beer recipe I've ever made.
Okay.
So batch number 4 on my second brew day was a zirben beer. Zirbe is a pine cone of the Austrian stone pine, and it's a pine that grows just below the tree line in the Alps. It's traditionally used to make a liquor called Zirbenschnaps. So it's not a sugary schnapps. It's a clear.
a real schnapps.
Yeah, it's a 40% alcohol schnapps. And
What is that pine cone influence on that liqueur?
so you have it's just a very unique piney and I guess somewhat phenolic flavor, but it's hard to describe.
Yeah.
So it's probably easier to taste it. So if you ever go skiing in Austria, you'll definitely.
I'll probably run into one of those
You have
trees.
to
yeah.
Sure.
build up a tolerance before you go skiing in Austria.
What about the other 2 collaborations before we get too deep into that? What
Okay.
else have you done kind of on this like pro-am feeling?
Okay, so
scale?
this was my first collaboration with Elfried. So I know him, that's why we got to talk, and he had the beer, he liked it. Then There's a brew pub in Vienna called Wappler Brewing Company. The owner is from Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is where my father-in-law is from. So we got talking, and then I was talking to the brewmaster there, and I had a recipe for a English porter with cocoa nibs, and then we decided to brew that in a 5 hectoliter scale, so about 4 barrels maybe, for the brew pub. And then another collaboration with that same brew pub was this year, a black IPA, and then another collaboration was with a brewery in Tirol, a Pils, with Saphir hops. So pretty easy drinking summer beer. It's going to be released when I come back to Austria.
And it's being sent out, though. It's going to be your first beer that goes across borders, right?
It's going to be in Innsbruck, in Triebau, it's going to be in Vienna and Amazon, and it's going to be in Trient, in South Tyrol, northern Italy, in Trentatré brew pub. Not brew pub, bar. So let's try the Wappler Zirkus.
That's pretty cool. You're definitely on some sort of you're on a scale kind of like this for a home brewer.
I think it's because craft beer is pretty young, and if you as a home brewer kind of know what you're doing, it's easy to get talking to.
If you have the interest and the motivation, and you want to get yourself in the mix, you can do it.
I definitely wanted that, and then it just kind of happened, right?
Yeah.
I didn't really.
It's kind of like here several years ago, where if you wanted to start volunteering at a brewery, you could actually volunteer, you could get experience, and then you could actually then take that experience and have on your resume and get a paid, a paid job at another brewery.
Okay, yeah.
I smell the
I didn't get to say it. So it's a pine cone. So what else? So tell us about this process.
It's a honey. It's a honey ale with a very simple malt bill, and hops are not that in the foreground. We fermented it with a clean ale yeast, and then after a week or two we dry coned it with the pine cones, right? And then
whole, you bust them up like.
No, you have to chop them. So you basically clean them, and then you chop them into slices.
How big are these pine cones when they're?
Yeah, like a fist or a little smaller.
They're good size. They're not the little.
No, they're not tiny. Okay. They're relatively big. But cutting them up, I mean, when I did it was 1.5 kilos, so 3 pounds of pine cones. That was not fun to cut up. But then we scaled it up to 2.5 hectoliters for this. Alfie had to chop up even more. It was 8 kilos, like 16, 17 pounds of those.
And pine cones don't weigh very much.
Yeah.
Either, right?
It was
how many cups of pine cones?
This tastes like Christmas.
Right? It's a very 7%, interesting.
It said? Is that what it said?
7.5, I think. It should say on the bottle. You okay?
That good,
7%.
Huh?
User error.
Yeah.
Not the beer.
Man, it is. Yeah, it's got. It's got that little bit of kind of like tartness, that like underripe grape kind of tartness, but some kind of pine cone, resiny.
Yeah, the pineness. It's kind of. It's like orangey though too.
That Christmassy thing. It's not just like
a sweet malt character. I don't know if the honey is somewhat. A lot of times honey, like a beer with honey, I don't really get much honey in there, but I mean, like maybe I kind of get some honey, or at least a suggestive of a sweetness like that.
Yeah.
What's up, dog?
Come get your dog.
Yeah.
There's also something very lemony about it to me.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised. It was, when it was young, it was even more citrusy, and I don't know where it's from. I assume it's from the yeast, because...
Not the pine cones?
But it's a clean ale yeast.
Because in my version... It wasn't that citrusy, so when we scaled it up,
in your version,
then it was a 5 times higher volume, and then it had the citrus character, which is very interesting.
What would the yeast be doing that would give it that? Do you know what yeast it was?
No, I think it's from the wild yeast, because I'm pretty sure
wild yeast. Oh, on the
pine cone itself had some yeast.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But wait, you put those in to the secondary?
Yeah, so about
What is the terminal gravity at that point?
There's probably a degree plateau left or so.
So maybe,
there is-
even
there
if
is some-
if it was at a terminal gravity, maybe
Yeah,
whatever was
you
in
know,
there could
terminal gravity
work
for
a
the
little-
alies.
Right. Yeah.
And it's probably bread or something like that.
Do you get any kind of
Wow.
wood influence since it is like a barky pine cone, although it's not in there
that
at the
depends
time?
that depends on when you harvest the pine cone. If you harvest the pine cone too late, you get a woody flavor.
Really?
Maybe because of the sap or some sort of character.
I don't know. I think the
changes.
pine cone itself changes. So
Huh.
you usually want to.
That makes sense. It
you
gets
know,
more solid.
there-
I'm sure
there's
it
a
gets
lot of
more
experience.
Hardwood versus softwood.
Yeah.
Dries out.
As it sits.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
experience on when to harvest this for the
I want to
schnapps.
know if anybody watching this has ever used pine cones. I've never even heard of that.
We're about to.
Heard of spruce tips, juniper
Yeah.
boughs.
Does this taste anything like the liquor? Like, is it a
Yeah,
cousin, or is the
the-
beer elements making it
No,
such a different thing?
some aspects of the aroma are very similar, but the whole citrus thing is not present in the schnapps.
It's very enjoyable.
Very good. I'm like
We've
just.
been drinking
I'm doing
a lot of, like,
I'm
non-malt.
I'm pulling a chip here.
Yeah.
I'm tearing through it.
We've
He's
been-
usually the first one.
This has
to
been the summer
finish
of like
his sample.
unorthodox
We always
drinking.
Okay.
Like,
tease him.
between the Norwegian
Now-
Kvike beer, and the
Kvike.
Kvike and the maple beer, the spruce tip. I mean, I feel like this is kind of where I've always wanted to be in the brew space. It's a little bit more like,
Crazy things.
because like you can
Yeah.
go buy everything that you'd want to try, but nobody's doing something like this or brewing with maple sap, or at least not where I can get it in St. Paul. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is fun.
Yeah, and it's easy drinking.
Very. Yeah,
It's-
it's very
It's an
good.
easy drinking 7% pine cone beer, man.
That's exactly what
With a
I
little
what I
bit
was
of mystery
thinking
bread
back
in
then in 2016. I was like, I want that easy drinking pine cone beer.
To make something that's very unique but also drinkable, I think, is the ultimate challenge.
Yeah,
It does. It
that's
just-
not
In
easy.
brewing
It
in
tastes-
general, make something that's different, but not that you have to just drink 3 ounces and be like, whoa, that's a really interesting
Yeah.
such and such, but I gotta
Interesting
try
in the
something else.
Minnesotan way of saying
Or,
it.
or I like it, but I can't drink. I could drink
Yeah.
at least a whole bottle of this. It's kind of strong flavored,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
without a problem.
but even on a hot summer day, this is
And you said
Nice
this
beer.
was the first keg to go at a festival.
yeah. So at the craft beer fest in Vienna in November 2017, last year, we had a keg of this, like a 30 liter keg, and I was pouring at Alfred's stand, and this was the first keg to kick. It was pretty nice,
Yeah.
It just
It's a good feeling.
Is this
standing
beer
there.
from that production of that time?
yeah. That's
This is from
right. That's from last
8 months ago,
last summer.
It's a year,
So
maybe?
it was brewed in
Oh.
it was brewed in September. So it's about 11 months old.
I would imagine then, do you think that pine cone characteristic has faded some?
It has changed, definitely.
Changed.
and that's why you
this-
think maybe it's something off the
There-
pine cone that's also
There
doing
has
the
to be a
changing.
bread in there because
Oh.
it doesn't taste stale like an 11-month-old beer that traveled the Atlantic.
Right.
Right?
And I just a few weeks ago with
Every time
a
I drink it, it like surprises me what it tastes like.
what is it?
I
like
forget
a-
between every sip.
Yeah, there's like a brothy umami kind of character too, almost. That's
It's probably
not unenjoyable.
Dregs.
drags.
Oh,
Yeah. There's quite a bit in the bottle.
Maybe we should save that. Oh, maybe we should save that. Hey, girl.
So a few weeks ago, I had I still have a few bottles of my original homebrew. So I had one a few weeks ago with a Dutch friend of mine, and that was 2 years old at the time, and it still tasted really, really.
I wonder
fresh and
if
young.
it's
So
also a preservative. I imagine in some capacity it would be. It's
it
kind
might
of
be
like
the pine cone, but
like a gruit.
I'm thinking it's more like the wild yeast is just scavenging the oxygen that
Yeah.
comes in.
Yeah.
Because there is a tiny bit of acetic acid flavor, so
Yeah.
I think it's probably bread.
It's not unenjoyable though.
No, it's not.
It's
you
not
know,
even
it's
like
more
a
like in
sour
a Flanders,
characteristic, but
a Flanders red or brown, where it's like, oh, this is nice acidity.
that's great, man. We had the Kvike a few days ago. Literally, I think 3-4 days ago, and now we get this.
Yeah.
That was international. Yeah.
Keep the
international beer
European
too, yeah.
beers coming, people.
Keep
love
coming
it.
here. Keep coming.
Same,
The
same
garage
place,
is always
too.
open. We could turn
Same place.
We could build a Murphy bed or something with like international hostel. But yeah, we got some other beers. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you want to tell the people, or should we just like turn off the camera and move on to hanging out? I appreciate you bringing this beer, by the
I
way.
mean,
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah,
I
you're
know
welcome.
your suitcase is going home full of coffee
Yeah,
and
but
imperial
I'm
stouts.
usually not coming here with a lot of beer, so
So, yeah.
I'm fine bringing a few. But I mean, I'm running out of those as well.
Cool.
So we just brewed a new batch of this. So soon there should be 2018
Yeah.
Wappler City. Wappler City.
And we have mutual friends, it turns out, in Vienna. So
Yeah.
maybe
Oh yeah.
we get you and Jim Ellis together and we do an international episode. We might be crowdfunding that, people.
That'd be perfect. Yeah. Meet again in Vienna.
All right. Well,
Well,
appreciate it. Chop for Chop Brew for
Prost.
Brew. Safe flight back
thank
home.
you.
Enjoy your brew day with Chuck on Sunday, man.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Nico. All right. Sour cherry funk.
Oh, that one could possibly be carbonated.
Could possibly be carbonated.
Overcarbonated.
Overcarbonated. Ah, yep, there it is. No, put it in
So-
the glasses.
That one. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, it'll. That's. The man is right. It still will be beer. And that thing got bottled at like
Oh yeah.
1.002 or whatever, and then it went down to like 0.99. It still has continued to go down even after it sat in the carboy for months and months and months before bottling.